Hi, this is Jack Downs. Just wanted to let you know about what happened in class today. This is for people who missed class on the 9th. That'll be Thursday, October 9th, or 14th class. This is the class right before break, and I know some of you were heading out early. We did do our introduction presentations today, so that means if you weren't there, you didn't do yours. I hope that you had prepared and already done your practice. But if you haven't done your practice yet, it is not too late to do it. You should plan to do your practice immediately on returning. You have contact information for the TAs. I would say contact them about doing a practice on Wednesday. There is no organized practice sessions, so please contact the TAs about practicing on Wednesday would be the best, because of course we're back in class a week from today. And I really hope everybody does the presentation then. Remember, you must do all the presentations to pass this class. In addition, what else did I talk about before we really began the class? The schedule, let's take a look at that. The introduction presentation, so on. Should be working on your rhetorical analysis, because that's actually due like the 23rd, I think, something like that. So it's coming up pretty soon. Take a look. Should be reading chapter 14, and then for next class you should read chapter 15. That about finishes the study guide 2. Now, most people completed study guide 1 and handed it in, and those of you who weren't in class didn't get your grades on your exam yet, but you will see that I gave as much as 15 points based on a good job on that study guide. So the study guides are really worth doing. I hope you're doing study guide 2. Make sure that you do, and it would be handed in on exam 2, which is actually not that far away. It's on the 30th of October. So get going on that study guide 2, finish it up. And even if you didn't really fully complete it, I still gave people partial credit, at least 5 points for a general okay attempt at it. So that's worthwhile. Plus you do better on the exam if you do the study guide. So please do the study guide. So study guide 2, so you should be finishing the reading very soon for that, or with this next reading, that's it. It'd be good for you to review your word distinctions, the next group of word distinctions potentially, but that's not that important now. But something that is important is working on your formative presentation, which is mentioned here. It is due on Brightspace in a week. Well, it's sort of a week. It's not a week because of the break. So it's not the first class after break, it's the second class after break. It's the Tuesday that comes after break. So the week after we get back. The first class the week after we get back. So that's what's going on for that. So there is the schedule. And let's talk about that next presentation. You have this handout already, so you should look through it. And you're going to see that it'll give you most all the information I'm going to now. However, this is a bigger presentation in that we're expecting you're going to have more sources and more real information to give us. That's great. But it starts, unlike the other ones, it's going to start just with the idea. You have to get an approved idea. So the idea is due on Tuesday the 21st, as I said. This will be not just a vague idea. It will be a labeled specific purpose statement. It will be a labeled central thesis on Brightspace. You don't have to include sources at this time. It will be graded as part of the overall presentation. So what's the big deal? It's just an informative presentation. There's all kinds of topics, right? Well, yes and no. One thing that makes this different is I'm restricting your topic. So no, you cannot just take the presentation you just did the introduction for and now make that a full informative. This 4 to 6 minute presentation is going to have to be on a topic related to linguistics. A topic related to linguistics. Well, many of you will say, like, why? What linguistics? I don't know anything about linguistics. And that's kind of the point. The best informative presentations frequently are on topics that you don't start by knowing that much about. So the idea is, if you really know lots about a topic, you probably have strong opinions about it. If you have strong opinions on a topic, then chances are it's much more likely that you're going to tend towards it's not an informative presentation, but a persuasive presentation, because you have lots of strong opinions and ideas about it. So to keep you from falling into that persuasive idea, we instead are doing a topic that you may not be that familiar with, something related to linguistics. Linguistics is the study of language. So there are hundreds, actually thousands, actually tens of thousands, who knows how many possible speech topics within it. Was really a huge category. But it may very well be something that you're not that familiar with yet. So you're going to have to come up with a topic that you like, you're interested in, still has to do with linguistics, and that you want to do a presentation on. So make sure not to choose something you don't like. But the study of language is really vast. It could be, as explained here in this paragraph, anything to do with all the different varieties of languages, the types of languages, the families of languages, how languages change over the years. Take an example of a language and significant changes in it. And that might be too broad, actually. Many of these are very broad. You have to narrow them down. Sign languages. Now, sign languages themselves are too broad, but maybe a particular sign language or the development of a particular sign language or the difference between two major sign languages, how foreign words are added to languages, the parts of language, the parts of words, what grammar changes have been at certain times in history, handwriting, different types of handwriting analysis, importance of handwriting, dying languages or threatened languages, major figures in linguistics, study language or help in development of language, unusual kinds of language, other, like maybe there's languages that we don't think of as normally as language, like all kinds of symbol languages. So how language defines social groups, speech patterns, problems with language, trouble with disabilities that make it hard to speak in different ways, and how we adapt to them. So many areas. There's many research areas into disciplinary fields such as evolution in language, language acquisition, like how we build language as toddlers, and what things make that work or not work. Language and social justice, language, specific cultural groups and languages, all their own special language terms and jargons and slang, and then also language subtypes and how cultural importance of them. We could keep going and going on and on. There's a lot of possibilities. But whatever it is, remember, you have to fine-tune it, and you're going to have to make it something you like, and you have to really narrow it, because you only have 4 to 6 minutes, which, honestly, for a big topic, it could be nowhere near enough. All these have to be further focused. So here's some ways you're going to find some information. You could just think about it. You could go to the Ward 114, the lab room, where you had the bin of stuff for the collage. You could go in there and you'll see on that shelf there's a number of linguistics textbooks. So you could go through them, just leaf through them looking for ideas. Go to the library. There's a lot of texts on and many scholarly articles on linguistics. Ask a librarian for help. You could do a quick Google search. So you started on linguistics, just topics related to linguistics. Just don't pick something just to pick it. Pick something you're going to like. Now the handout goes into like more things you have to create later. So I won't discuss those now. I will just say that your idea is due on the 21st. But it's not just an idea. It's a labeled SPS and a labeled central thesis. And it's put on Brightspace. Even when that happens, then you should be beginning to do the research and to develop it more fully. And we will go over this again later. Okay, so that's the most important information from today's class. You should start thinking about it, and make sure you're planning to do your presentation on our first class back after break.